The Ola CEO has sparked a raging debate yet again after backing Narayan Murthy's claim or Narayan Murthy's demand for a 70-hour work week. Well, the Ola CEO Bhavish Aggarwal says that this is the only way to boost productivity. But of course, on social media, this has led to sharp responses from youngsters, particularly those working in the startup sector, in the industries. And they say that this is no way to boost value creation or creativity or innovation, and this is against the concept of work-life balance and promotes a toxic hustle culture. Before I bring in my guests, listen in to what Ola CEO Bhavish Aggarwal had to say.
मैंने publicly जब Mr. Murthy ने वो बोला, तो I was publicly in support, and I got trolled on social media because of that. But वो हमारी generation को तपस्या करनी पड़ेगी ताकि we can build the world class, the number one country in the world we dream to build, right? Largest economy. And also I don't think India's journey is just economic resurgence. India's journey is economic number one combined with a cultural renaissance.
And joining me on the show this evening, I'm being joined by Rituparna Chakrabarti, co-founder of Team Lease. Nasir Salim, managing partner of Flexi Capital, is also with us. Thanks very much, both of you, for joining us on this very interesting debate. Rituparna Chakrabarti, going across to you first. As a young co-founder, somebody who works with youngsters a lot, do you think this demand for a 70-hour work week, is it against the concept of work-life balance? Because that is something that is really sacrosanct for youngsters, as we've seen.
First and foremost, thanks for having me on the show, Vedant. My views are very clear on this. I mean, there are certain situations in organizations, certain moments, certain phases in the resurgence of an organization where you do need all hands on the deck. And for that, you probably need longer hours, but it cannot be a mandate. First and foremost, I don't think it can be a demand. It can be like a stipulation, and it cannot essentially...
It cannot be a mandate.
It cannot be a mandate. It cannot be essentially the ground of assessing someone's contribution to the organization, because each individual is differently codified. A person can achieve in 8 hours with someone else probably takes 12 hours. Actually, sometimes some person can get it done in 4 hours. So I think, and also that we are living in a very different era. We have so much more productivity enablers around us. What used to be the case 2 decades back or 2.5 decades back is not the reality. Workplaces have enough productivity enablers, and people know how to get work done at a fraction of a time, and they should not be penalized for that. I mean, just showing up at work and slogging for 70 hours, if it really doesn't yield results, then I do believe that if it becomes an ongoing mandate, it's impossible for a human to deliver at the same level. You can do it. Let's say 1 month, there is a huge project, there is a deliverable, everyone puts in, all energies are aligned, everybody gets excited, they'll do it. But to expect people to do 70 hours on the clock, I don't think that's going to work, and that's not sustainable.
And that's also, in a sense, encouraging some kind of mechanical functioning and not really engaging your employees, as you said, or enabling productivity. One has to be, enablers of productivity as people at the helm. But Nasir Salim, come in on this point, because what Rituparna is saying is that times have changed. This is a generation that realizes its worth. In fact, I had a lot of callers on a show we did earlier this evening, and they said that if one is compensated adequately, and if you have people at the helm leading by example, then they're willing to put in the extra hours, but not for nothing.
Good evening, Vedant. Thank you very much for having me on your show. Vedant, I'm a firm believer that because, being a banker and being a former banker with a large multinational bank, I personally feel that 70 hours and this entire concept, as long as you can achieve work-life balance and if you're being compensated for it, there is no challenge of the 70-hour issue. I think this is it could be very draconian in my opinion. A 70-hour schedule in a week, if you enjoy and if you have a work-life balance which is achieved, is something which is normal. I mean, I don't even know why we're even discussing this. As a matter of fact, it's something which is, you will be productive in those 70 hours in a week. You will ensure that you like it, and if you get compensated, and because being a representation of as a banker, I can tell you, we almost kind of represent a capitalist economy or a capitalist society. I personally feel hard work and productive work will ensure more money being paid, and therefore will propel the economy.
That's an interesting point you're making, that it's really not about the amount of hours, the number of hours you put in, because in many professions the demands are such that you do end up working 70 hours. I mean, ask me as a journalist, there are days where there is no morning, evening, there are no shifts. A similar situation for doctors, for cops on duty. So it's really about the ethos of your profession and not so much about the mandated number of hours that one must work for.
Absolutely. And I think more importantly, Vedant, this entire discussion, and I agree with my fellow colleague here, today the way and means of productivity has really increased by virtue of the ecosystem that we are in. There are far more interesting things that are available to us in the workplace, which was not there maybe 10 or 15 years ago. There is work from home. There are enough corporates and institutions that promote a work-life balance. They promote, on Fridays, they promote healthy work environments for such as, they do some other activities which involve you, care about your health issues. They talk about those. And I think most importantly, there is something called the social media, which helps you to address some of those concerns. Right? Today, I must tell you, productivity is being promoted on account of great participation in whether you like your job or not.
Yes, that's a very important point. And Ritu Panda, weigh in on this, because as somebody at the helm, as somebody who heads an organization in a sense, how do you see productivity being boosted at work? Because now you have these big themes like performance with purpose, giving your employees something purposeful to look at, something that drives them, something that motivates them. Because with so many opportunities, ultimately you might be risking your employee leaving the job if you mandate such kind of a 70-hour work week.
We suffer from a loss of, I'm probably part of that generation which sometimes dabbles in nostalgia, which is most of the time misplaced. Just because we have slogged it, we've worked hard, we've done all the, what I call gadagiri all our lives, we think everybody should do it and that's the way to being successful. To be honest, as one of the founding teams of Team Lead, members of the Team Lead organization, even I've done very long hours. At a stage of the company where I was motivated, I could do it. And that's where I found my joy, my purpose.
Yes. And many of the millennials would, in a sense, turn around and say that, it was your choice. But,
Exactly. And also you needed to work, maybe. Your world was such where you, to get a next job done, you needed to slog.
Right.
But this generation, the new generation, the millennials, they are all brought up in a very different socio-economic background from the kind of background we come from.
That's a very important point, and I'm afraid I just have 30 seconds left on the debate. Nasser Salim, the last word to you. A lot has changed at the workplace. You have artificial intelligence, you have concepts of, say, period leave, etc. Things that were unheard of, say, even 5-6 years ago. So, you have to have people at the helm and those sort of leading the conversations around corporate life, sort of championing causes that in a sense create vibrant minds and encourage vibrant minds and not machines.
No, absolutely. I think, this entire debate and this discussion on the 70-hour in a week, frankly, Vedant, the way I see this is there is an ecosystem which you should now enjoy.
Yes.
More than criticize it, because the ecosystem is supported by a lot of, around artificial intelligence, which enhances productivity. Absolutely. There is ChatGPT. There's so much that is happening. And, use technology, use each other's experiences to learn.
And to, in a sense, enrich the workplace as well. Thanks very much, Nasser Salim and Ritu Parna Chakrabarti, for your perspectives there. Of course, this raging debate now back in focus.